Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Chris with Cook Carpentry. It's been a really long time. I've been doing a bunch of other shit for like a year and a half, and now I'm getting back to working with my hands, and I'm really looking forward to it. Been a lot of development in my own life. I sold everything down in Tucson and I moved up here to Oregon, and as much as I want to get outside and work, it's just been rainy as hell every day. Here we are in the middle of spring, getting really close to summer, and it's still raining constantly every fucking day. And it sucks. Anyway, I'm gonna kick it off in a big way. I'm gonna build a project for a really good friend of mine. He's a childhood friend that grew up right over there. We used to skateboard on the street together. We used to hang out. We used to go to skate parks and cruise on into Portland and do all kinds of stuff. Lots of really great memories. And he's helping me out here later in my life. He's gonna help me with some work. I'm gonna learn some new things. I'm gonna get into construction and home building and remodeling, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. And I'm just really looking forward to working with him. So Dan, this one's for you, buddy. So I built one of these for another good friend of mine, and it turned out so good that he wanted to try to make a bunch of money off of me. No, it turned out really good. He was really impressed by the work, and he showed a designer friend of his, and he thought it was really cool. And you know, we thought about doing something with it, maybe selling them, but nothing really came of it. And to be honest with you, these take a lot of work, and they're a little bit expensive. So for what other people are asking for this product, I don't really feel like it justifies the cost and the amount of work that goes into it. So really, I just build these from the heart for people I care about. And let me show you what material I'm working with. And this is kind of scary because this right here is from my buddy Dan's property that he bought from his grandmother. It's a cedar tree they cut down, and he processed this himself with one of those chainsaw mills. And it's nice and thick. It's about 1 inch thick. And it's really soft wood though, so I'm afraid it's gonna bow. I'm building him a chessboard, by the way. It's really cool. It's gonna be half wood, half epoxy. Now the one that I built for my buddy Sam was made out of black walnut, and so that's a really hard wood. It doesn't really warp like this is going to. I mean, I've had this on the floor with weights on it because it was already starting to warp. So with all the rain and moisture that's here, I really got to get on this as quick as possible. So I'm going to cut this back at 3.5 inches on the other side, and then I'm going to break out my saw. And it's really important that everything is nice and square and that my cuts are at 45 degrees perfectly, because when I'm building this box, as I've already tried to with one of my other pieces of wood, it was a piece of maple, the 45-degree angles did not meet up right, and so I threw it on the floor in anger and broke it. So I'm going to cut this back at 3.5 inches, and then I'm going to set up my saw and make sure that it cuts 45-degree angles absolutely perfectly before I really commit to the rest of the project, which is I'm gonna cut a little groove on the top, so that way the chessboard has something to sit in, like a recess. And then I also have to cut a groove all the way around. Can you tell that I've forgotten the names for all these things? Anyway, it's a little groove I'm gonna cut in, and I got a piece of plexiglass I'm gonna pop in there, and then I've got some lights that are gonna make... Get out of my bag, geeky. I got some LED lights I'm gonna put in there, and it's gonna make it glow. But the epoxy I'm using, it's got a really cool effect. It's a glow-in-the-dark epoxy. So whether you use the LEDs or not, you can turn off the lights and it'll glow, and you can play chess on there and stuff. I think it's gonna be great. So I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride. Thanks for checking out the channel. I miss you guys. It's been a long time, and I had a lot of fun before, so I hope to get back to all that lots of fun now. Okay. This better not break. Okay, so I am cutting each and every one of these squares to 1.5 inches. And let me tell you right now, with this stupid carbide bit, every time I go to bump it up and then lift up the saw blade there, it gets caught and then it like leaves a divot and it gets stuck, and then this thing comes up and it makes me really angry. Oh yeah, I forgot to film this part where I ripped this down to 1.5 inches, but who gives a shit? Plus I kind of suck at that. You know, I watch people run their boards through these table saws and they get it like a nice perfect cut edge. I'm not good at that. I'm like squirrely with the board. Maybe it's because I fucking suck at construction. I don't know. So every single one of these, with great care, I am numbering. That way I can make sure that all the wood grain matches up. When I lay it out for the chessboard, I hope that the grain matches, and that looks pretty cool that way. So let me show you what I have to do. I number it, and then I get it nice and tight on there. And I cut it, and then I have to do this, and then I have to reach in here and pick this up with the saw blade so it doesn't get stuck. And then I put it over here, and then I kill myself. All right, okay, all right. Now what I'm doing is I'm laying out some painter's tape, and then I'm gonna take my little squares, and I discovered that using double-sided construction tape will help to hold this down while I apply the epoxy layers. Now what I've done is I've got a straight edge that's nice and square on there, and I got my clamps holding it in. I picked up my speed square, made sure that was all nice and perfectly even there. So now when I take my little square deals and I set them up in there, in theory these will line up all nice and even like that, and I'll just work my way around and the wood grain will all match up and it'll look cool. So we got our pretty little square thing. It looks nice, you could hang that up on the wall. Maybe not, that kind of looks like shit. Okay, so I've got my chessboard grid here. I'm gonna go ahead and brush on a thin layer of 1-to-1 epoxy. I'm gonna work on the sides of the chessboard now. So it's a pretty rough cut on both sides. And then after I'm done sanding it, I'm gonna take these like so, and I'm gonna take a clamp and I'm gonna clamp, oops, right, like this. Okay, so I'm gonna do it like this, and then I'm gonna get them as even as possible, and I'm gonna run this through the planer, and that way the edges are nice and even, and they will also be perfectly flat. Boy, sanding is the most boring part, but it's also the most satisfying once you get it all nice and smooth. I mean, it was really, really rough. This was what it looked like before, and now it's like nice and smooth here. I don't like to use a round over bit on a lot of stuff. I kind of like to just glide the sander over the edges and just give it, I feel like it's kind of like a personal touch, and it makes it nice and smooth so you don't get any splinters. Okay, so I've got this Whatco wipe on poly. It's satin, so I'm gonna put some of that on there. I went ahead and took that test piece of wood and I sanded it down to 320 so it's accurate to what we already have. Okay, ready? All right, nice. That's perfect. That's pretty much exactly what I was looking for. I really didn't want to change the color all that much. It passes the smell good test. All right, here we are, day 2. I gave up and went and drank instead. Now, here's the piece of wood that I tested out that stain on, which looks really good. I'm gonna have to put 3 more coats on there. The cedar smells like a playground, you know, like the bark chips and stuff. It's like nostalgic. Reminds me of bullying and splinters. Anyway, so I've got my router table that I set up a while ago. I used to have a carport right here, and then the neighbor reported it, and the city made it take me down, or they're gonna give me a fine. Nice neighbors, huh? And now here comes the nerve-wracking part where I take my finished pieces that I've been working extremely hard on and put it through here and pray to God that I don't mess it up. So I'm glad I'm gonna record it in the process, because I swear to God, if I mess it up, I will break something. How do you like my makeshift dust collection system? So this is a piece of plexiglass that I cut, and I sanded it to give it a frosted look. And then it's gonna kind of sit at the bottom like so. And underneath of it is gonna be some LED lighting. And then it's going to diffuse the light and kind of glow, expand it, because if it were clear, you would just see the bulbs. But this is really gonna make it glow and come up through the pieces, the epoxy pieces. So I have to cut a dado or I don't know what you call it, like a slit. I have to cut a slit and put it in like that, which also racks my nerves. So first things first, one thing at a time. Let's cut that top down. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. A couple little chips, not too bad. You know, softwood is like super brittle. So I'm gonna take my 220 here and just, you know, gingerly sand the inside. Dust collection is important because when I'm running it through the router, it's taking all the little bits and pieces and it's mixing it in while it's chopping it up. I did have a collection system until Mr. Dickhead across the street told on me. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna have to sand this by hand. I wanna get each and every one of these little things out of there, because once I put the sealer in there, it's gonna be really obvious that there's divots. And I want it to be nice and smooth for my buddy Handsome Dan. So I went and I tried to use this, and I knew this was gonna happen because this wood's really soft and it indents really easily. But the sandpaper kind of hangs over the edges, and when I was sanding in there, it left a little bit of a divot right there. So that's what happens when you're lazy. But that's okay. It's those little subtle touches that show that it's handcrafted by a real human being, right? What's that Fight Club quote? It talks about how there's bubbles and imperfections, proof that they're made by the hardworking indigenous peoples of wherever. In this case, I'm just fucking lazy. But I'm not lazy for you, Dan. I'll do anything for you. I just thought that would get to those divots a little easier. That's my excuse. All right, well, I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me sand all day, so I'm gonna finish doing this, and then I'm gonna set up my table saw, and I'll show you the little groove or channel. I'll show you the little channel I'm gonna cut for that piece of plexiglass. Okay. All right, I'm feeling good, man. We have our recess dado cut for the chessboard, which hopefully turns out good. And then we've got our channel here for the plexiglass piece. So I'm gonna sand this and clean it up, and then put a sealer on it. Thanks for sticking with this so far. Okay, here's a sneak peek of what it's gonna look like. The wood's gonna be a little darker, but I'm gonna put the LED box on the bottom here, and then I'm going to glue the lighting in a little cool swirly, and then on top is where the chessboard recesses. So what do y'all think? I love the wood colors. I like the way it smells. Okay, I decided to do this outside. It's good for ventilation and I like hearing the birds. Not so much the traffic though. Okay, let's get to painting. So I'm gonna let this cure, put it downstairs, let it cure, make sure no bugs fly in it, make sure the temperature's right, and then we'll take a look at it tomorrow. Okay, very exciting. Here we are. Several days later, I have let all the stain settle. I've given it its 3 coats. 2 initial coats every 4 hours, and then I sanded it with 220 and then did my final coat. I gotta be really careful because this wood is so soft and it scratches and it blemishes really easily. So I've got my tape here on the edges to make the glue up a lot simpler. So all I have to do is pull the pieces together and I'll get that, well, hopefully perfect 45-degree square box. What do you think? I think that looks really nice. I actually think it looks really, really nice. That's beautiful. I love that frosted glass look. You could almost just do a shadow box. It looks like a window frame or something too. I like that. And so hopefully the chessboard turns out real nice and it'll sit right on the top there. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks beautiful. Overall, I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna let it dry for about 24 hours and then it'll be good to go. And then next, I just have to work on the chessboard. Okay, there it is. I think it turned out pretty good. I think I got just the right amount of the mica powder mixed up into there. I used about an ounce to about 48 ounces of actual epoxy there. Ugh. And the cabinet itself turned out pretty good. I think I showed it earlier, I can't remember, but I think it's going to look really nice when everything's said and done. It's got a really nice color and it passes the smell test. I'll check on it periodically and torch out the bubbles as needed. And I'll come back in a few days and check it out. And I think it'll be done. It's going to look great. It's going to look really good. So here's the chessboard all ready to go and be broken out of its form. The epoxy has fully cured. Let's take it out and then I'm going to cut the sides with my, I forget what this saw is called. I'm going to cut it with that. All right, right, so here it is, the almost finished product. So I made the gaps on the side intentionally larger so you can get your fingers in there and pull that out. The first one I made, I did little indentations with a router so you could put your fingers in the side. But I like how it's streamlined square all the way across, and then that just drops right in like that, and it's nice and flush. So I'm gonna put these little felt tabs on the bottom so you can take this out without the light box and set it off to the side like this and play chess if you want. Now I gotta put the LEDs in the bottom. I have to touch this up with some wipe-on polyurethane, and then that'll light up, and then I'll drop this in, and then that'll light up. It turned out pretty good, but damn did it make a huge mess. Look at that shit. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm putting a ring of LED lights on the inside here, and I'm evenly distributing the light so that way when it hits the plexiglass, the diffused plexiglass, it's really gonna illuminate the rest of the chessboard. And I'm gonna make sure to fasten it in there with hot glue, because with the stain on here and the double-sided tape from the LEDs, it doesn't really want to stay, it wants to separate. So not only is this going to ensure that the LEDs don't move, but it's also going to secure the diffused plexiglass from moving around inside the cabinet. I'm really excited to show you guys what this looks like. All right, and here it is. The time has come for the big reveal, and I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't be happier with the finished product. I think it looks beautiful. How much I had to work and how difficult it was to work with this cedar. I think it turned out really beautifully, and same with the chessboard here. So I have these little felt tabs on the bottom, so that way you can either have it inside the cabinet like so, or you could take it outside the cabinet and just set it down on the table and play that way. And also, this is done with the glow-in-the-dark epoxy, so this will glow without the light box. So here's my little pieces that I had. I've got my kings right here. I'll show you what those look like. Maybe. There we go. It's a little... Oh my gosh, this stuff is still not fully cured. I cannot believe that. I poured these 4 days ago and they're still a little soft, but I think that turned out really cool. So this is the clear one, and then this is the one that I did the glow-in-the-dark mica with. I cannot believe these are still soft. There we go. That looks cool. So here are the pieces. This one has the glow-in-the-dark mica powder in it. This one has just the clear, regular epoxy in there. And the mica powder kind of settled at the bottom, but that's going to help tell the difference between the two pieces. So here's the moment you may or may not have been waiting for, how the lights look with the chessboard here and how it looks in the light cabinet. So I'm gonna kill the lights and we'll see what it looks like. Oh look, the chess piece is glowing. Same with the chessboard, you can kind of see that one glowing. All right, ready? Cool. And now I'm gonna put the chessboard in there. Check that out, man. What do you think of that? Doesn't that look sweet? Put the little chess pieces on there. And I've got lots of different modes for this lighting. I'll show you exactly which ones we can do. You can have it kind of fade in and out with all the different colors, or you can just set a specific color. Naturally, I'd have this turned. So you can have it go in between all different colors, or you can set it up to just have a solid color if you want, which looks really cool. There's lots of different colors to choose from. I personally like the blues. It looks really, really cool like that. There we go. I like that color. I think that's really cool, but that red looks really badass. You got blues, you got greens, you got pinks and turquoise and yellow, which doesn't look very good. All right, so we got our blue one up there, and let's see what kind of modes we have for that. You can adjust the brightness if you want. Really turn that up. And then there's so many different modes that you can choose from in here. Some of these might give you a seizure. So this is just going through all the colors. This is that really cool fade in and fade out. I really like that one. This one flashes all different colors. And then you've got different timing set for these. I mean, they're really neato, but it wouldn't be something I would want to have on all the time. I prefer the solid colors. I think the solid colors look absolutely beautiful in here. Again, I like the blue one. I think that's the nicest one. There we go. And what I also like is that when you put the light box down, because you have the felt tabs, you get a little light effect that comes out underneath. And then, like I said, if you want, you can always take this out and set it aside. And then the lighting in there, I did a little swirly, so it's got kind of a neat effect inside, but it also helps to evenly distribute the light. And that's it. Lots and lots of work, but I think it was worth it. I think the box turned out absolutely beautifully. And that's it. That's everything. I think for all the work that this took, it turned out absolutely beautifully. I'm very excited to give it to my best buddy Dan. I think he's gonna appreciate it. So it's got this beautiful wood that I got from his grandmother's house, and you know, it was really soft and it was really difficult to work with, but the payoff in the end worked out really great. I think it's just beautiful. So thanks everybody for joining me on the build. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And happy birthday, Dan. My best buddy Dan. Happy birthday, bro. I hope you like it. I'll see y'all later.